Hello and welcome to Mastery of Dance. This is a live webinar on the 21st of February of 2017. And let's look a little bit at the mastery of and how you can master the dance. So let me just take the slide forward. I'm a professional dancer, an artist, a yoga teacher, and an NLP trainer. And I've been for dancing professionally for 16 years in theaters, and I have over 25 years of experience in dance altogether. And I'm an author of Art of Dance, a book, and Yoga for Dancers program that's coming right about now. And there's some free material from the course that you can have a look at the following link. There's some of my data, which I would suggest you to go and have a look at. Okay, so what is Art of Dance? Art of Dance is manual into the dancer's brain. It is the process of how you develop your art. It is a coaching program that allows you to move forwards in performing arts and allow you to grow and develop yourself inside of your dancing and artistic activities. What is mastery as a process and how you get to do it? What are the artistic perceptions, because all artists have them, and we're just going to discover what those are. We're going to talk about dancer versus artist concept, and we're going to discover what are the artistic states. So let's start with it. When we go forward, um, and we just a second. So when we discover what is what would be actually a definition of mastery. So mastery is a definition is a comprehensive knowledge or a skill in a particular subject or activity. You are probably already skilled in many things, and maybe you're already a masterful dancer. Probably you have some knowledge about what you do, and you are already able to refine things in such a fine level that creates this beautiful effect that we all know inside of dance and artistry. To me, purpose of art is to touch the heart of audience with ease, with beauty, with lightness. And a lot of masterful dancers or masterful artists are able to do that. This is when you look at something and you go, wow, this was really great. And we all experience that. You've been 100 times in somewhere in the audience, look at someone, you went, wow, this is really great material. And that would be the mastery, right? This is when you recognize that someone is really good at what they do. Um, so it is a high level of performance and training, and actually being able to perceive art. Masters are very good at actually having a very specific perception of art. This is usually some kind of a professional high-level dancer or choreographer, um, whatever you want to take first. But not necessarily. Some amateur dancers have really high skill and also good knowledge of the field, and they're able to touch the audience's heart in a most beautiful way. Um, to me, what I think the mastery is actually really good, is that less is actually more. They're able to do with less movements, with uh, um, less complexity to achieve much more inside of the audience mind. And in terms of coaching process, it is the next level from Art of Dance. Art of Dance is the process where you actually get to grow and learn how to do your art in a really proficient way. And mastery is a being able to refine it onto the next level. And what are the elements of mastery? Elements of mastery, or so to call requirements of mastery, in order to be a master, you have to have the following things. You have to have competence, that's for sure. You have to have years of training behind you in order to have that level of competence. Perception, you're perceiving things in a somewhat different way than than audience, unless they really know about what you do. You have to have a certain skill, high skill, I would say. Um, you have to perform on a certain level. something that when people watch, they recognize a master straight away. You have a certain knowledge about the field and about the field that you're doing and your arts and arts in general. um, you know the techniques of development, and you know how to grow your dance. You have a specific mindset that allows you to grow. If mostly old masters are very particular on that, they have a really specific mindset of how you get to grow and how you keep up with the new information and so on. You have certain values, definite certain values that you really find important. This is something that it's very important and allows you to stay inside of your field. You have a method. The way you work is very specific, and you know how you do it. There is a deep structure behind it. I put this together, but you could actually um, separate it. You have a structure that is very kind of clear, and each parts of it are very um, bonded together in a very specific way. And you have a certain depth. You can see by as soon as you see a master, you realize there are kind of more and more levels of what he does. So these are the requirements, and basically each and every master at any, whether it's a sport, martial arts, artistry, whatever it is really good at those things. So when we talk about um, what school usually provides are the basic principles. The school gives you and provides you with technique. Those are the first steps. They provide you with learning. If it's a ballet, let's say, how to do a Batman Tandu. They provide you with the vocabulary. They show you the steps and poses. They're very specific in that type of a style, for example, or in that school, or inside of that small branch that you're doing. And the school provides you with the first experiences on stage. Probably there are some school performances, where they provide you with the opportunity of being on stage and knowing the stage. Um, However, the purpose of the school is to bring you into the field and not to make you a star or not to make you a master. So the mastery is a kind of a next level when you go out of the school. And then we go to, this is a recent pool that I made by myself on internet, and it's called Out of Dance Pool. And I actually asked many dancers and artists of what they think it's good to know, what they would actually like to know inside of the dancing field, and where do they see the place for improvement. And the results that came out were not as expected anyway. The people that are basically, those are the people that are actually were students, dancers, amateur or professionals, all different kind, because I was asking in different groups um, and across the network. And I was very curious when I got the results. I was very curious about the numbers. You see, art of dance deals with technique and process and the training and principles. So this would be the somewhat summed up version of the school, plus how to develop it and grow by yourself. What happened by the pool is that when the results came, those are the following things that you can actually see here, by what people are actually most interested at. And these are the basically things that you actually learn in school. So that's not even a kind of a mastery level. This is kind of a basics, real kind of basics. So improving technique, you actually learn in school. Principles and process of training, you also actually learn in school. Anatomy and body placement, not always, but some schools actually teach it. Dance is a therapy, is not something that it's usually covered in school, it's not inside of the program. And let's say one of the most interesting things were also healthy, being a healthy artist. Um, um, Usually school covers only portions of that, and how to boost your creativity. So yeah, so this is another. I made two things, so you can actually see here two pictures. just to have a short look at actually what it is. And this is the Mastery of Dance. Well, this is the Mastery of Dance in terms of my program, what I consider to be really, really important. And also with the people that I was working with, I found that this is really what actually mattered. These are the key components of being able to grow. Um, so in my Mastery of Dance program, we cover the subjects that we have touched in this webinar, plus the full exercises on how to go a step further and establish your practice in depth. And these are some of the modules. So we have the mastery principles, something that I will cover tonight, and some things that won't be covered tonight. There are some artistic perceptions, which we'll talk about later, being able to use feedback in a really, really good way, um, learning how to be a versatile dancer in order to go on the step more front. Mechanics of technique, being able to go into depth of mechanics, of how you actually grow your technique up to the highest level. Um, Artistry states, what those are and how you get to grow them. That's a very specific module and takes some really good practice. One can actually spend a very long time in just practicing that. Flow of movement, being able to go and have a transition between movements in a really nice way. To me, that's the applications of yoga fall into the category of flow of movement, and they're very, very useful, I would say. Being able to relate to different things. I wrote here relationship, being able to relate in between different ships and creating a map of ships on the map. Being able to tell a story. All masters in any field are able to tell a story in a really good way. Same comes to dancers. Dancers or artists have artistic archetypes, and we're going to find out what those are and how you can actually learn them and how you can practice them. There's some really important part of creativity and how to be able to uh, develop your creativity and go forward with it. Learn about the movement model. That's something like a choreography model, how to be able to choreograph, but not in the same manner what the school teaches. Um, then we're going to discuss about artistic persona and how you get to actually become on this level of a mastery and how to build that type of a persona, what you've probably seen by many, many artists. And of course, be able to allow that energy to flow and to keep your mastery level for a very, very long time. I know many people and teachers, they're able to sustain that level on a really, really, I mean, 20, 30 years, being able to do that in a repeated manner. So, okay, so there's a small test that I would like you to do. Um, you see, in Aikido, they have those belts. You probably have seen. Aikido is a martial art, and all of those belts are they mean something. So if you have a yellow, you have this set of skills, and you have, if you're a blue, you have another set of skills, and if you're a black, if you have a black belt, that means you're on a specific higher level of skills. So what I would like you to ask you to do is to define for yourself on a level from 1 to 10, just being simply honest, how skillful you were before and what is your current skill level now and where do you want it to be. So just define where would that be from 1 to 10. So for each one, define, so make a short break or do it afterwards, doesn't matter, and define where you are. So when you define, what I would like you to ask you to define in between following things. In order to provide yourself with an appropriate feedback, and make sure that you know in which group you currently belong to. So be kind and realistic to yourself. Define where you are, whether you're a beginner, experienced amateur, experienced artist, or a professional artist on a high level, or just a beginner professional artist, doesn't matter. Um, we all get to grow and develop, and on different levels. Um, just define which one you are, and then be honest about your skill level. Okay, so when we go forwards, knowledge. I think it's important. You see, I meet sometimes people that are actually locking themselves in terms of knowledge, thinking that, well, basically they learn what is necessary in order to be good at what they do. And I gave an example from Aikido as a martial arts. They're masters, especially if you're over a black belt. What they do usually is that when they come to a new belt, they realize the set of skills and depth of the concept of the new concept that just changed as they when they come when they arrive to a new level. So they realize that there is a new platform, there is a new plateau of skills and requirements that we covered before, that we talked before. um, so what is really good to know, how much knowledge is enough in order to be a master. I mean, how much knowledge you actually have to know. You would have to be able to discover what the knowledge of that particular field would be. What would also be important is to have a diversity, be able to be diverse in knowledge, right? Because masters learn also other disciplines, and this is what allows them to really keep their creative mind and have really strong depth inside of their field, and they're able to connect the dots in between. Something that beginners or just a typical artists are not able to do, and they can do it so well. Okay, so dancer versus artist. When we talk about a dancer versus artist, it is a concept that I see very, very often. And you see, usually dancers are in today's society, they're very competitive. They're very results oriented. They want to get there. They want to have a career. And a lot of us think in terms of athleticism. You have to be great and look great and be able to do all this gymnastic stuff. And, or, I'm just giving one of the example. I gave an example here of ballet, but you can actually put it anywhere. Um, those would be the dancing parts that are coming up very often on the dance market. Um, However, the artist would be someone that is kind of more process oriented. He's more interested about process, how you get to how you get to do that really well. Uh, Artists usually have a holistic view on dance. They see things from a bigger picture, and they experience to them is more important, and that's the purpose of doing what they do, than instead of just placing themselves on the market and just going for the career. So masters usually take an artist's concept and they think how they can become better for the purpose of seeing things deeper than actually they did before, and how their experience will become profound just for the purpose of that journey. So it becomes a lifestyle to them and a philosophy of life. It is the way they live and express the world. So, and these are the four steps to mastery. As you can see, there are two things that are really important. It's competence level and in which direction competence goes, and the consciousness level. And so the four steps that actually are really important about anything that you want to master are the following. You always start from the unconscious incompetence. This is the place where you actually do not know what you don't know, and it's always the beginning of a certain skill that you're developing. Then you move to the conscious incompetence. This is that you know that you don't really know. This is when you become aware that you're lacking certain skill. And then you move to conscious competence. That's step number three. This is when you're competent and you take some conscious effort in order to do something or in order to achieve a certain skill. but you already are aware of the process and you know how to competently make it. And then you come to an unconscious competence, or that's already a habit or a second nature, what we call. And this is what is actually a mastery. This is when you're simply unaware of doing certain things like washing your teeth. You don't actually think about it, it just happens for you. So you're actually a master in brushing your teeth, for example. And what's really important to notice that everything that you do in life is actually inside of these four steps because you're a master at many things, not just one, but many. And when you do them always inside of this process. You're just simply not aware. And inside of dancing is kind of the same thing. You just have to follow the four steps and decide where you are actually. Um, what is also quite useful to know, I have a podcast on mastery, and there's a link underneath that you can find, and I would suggest you to take a look at. And I explain about some profiles that you can choose, in which profiles you want to be at. And this will help you to improve the mastery level and to decide how you want to increase your mastery levels, right? As here is really the basic concept. Okay, so let's go on. When we talk about the process, one those are the inside of the four steps that we just explained. You see, once you start with the steps, you're engaging yourself in this process. So you start always with a concrete experience. This is the raw experience. I think the picture really explains what it actually is. This is being able to feel and watch in a continuum, to have an experience about something, just an experience for the first time, and you slowly start to recognize um, the true nature of the experience that you're having. And what you go then to is the reflective observation. This is the being able to assimilate information. You're thinking and watching what's happening around you. Um, you're able to absorb the perceptions that are necessary for you to change. Having abstract concepts about any movement that you're doing or choreography or whatever the field is that you're in. And then you move to converging or thinking about the process and doing it. This is when you know exactly the each step and you know it into the deepest detail, and then you just go and do it. So you have to have an action. Um, I think the picture really explains how you have an action. So you simply have to do it, right? And then you come to accommodating, and that's by really being to feel and do it and feel and refine and make small changes in order to make it really well. I think all of the people that are having this skill that is on the picture are able to have small changes and then decide whether the result is going to be a glass or it's going to be a bottle or it's going to be a vase or whatever. But it's those small changes that you make on the way that actually make a direction and define the result. Same goes with the movement. You always have to accommodate certain smaller portions of the movement in order to get what you want. Okay, and then you might ask yourself, okay, but when we are mastering, what are we actually mastering? I mean, what is the things that we are changing inside of dance? It's all great to know the process, but what's the direction? What are you changing about? And what are you refining about? And what you're actually refining and what you're actually mastering is your artistic perception. You're refining it to become better and better every time you do it. So, you as an artist, you're far more advanced than the perception of your audience. So, unless the audience is really professional and they know about what you're doing, you basically see the things that they don't or do not know where to look at as they do not have the same skills and observation like you do. Um, but what is your artistic perception? What is the observation that you have in mind? And those are the four components. What you're observing and what you're able to see and what they're able to see is the outer form, how the things look like from out there. You're able to perceive inner form, how the things are happening from inside. You're able to know what the content is, and you know how you do your content. And you're able to know what the process is. And when you're doing all of the mastering process and all the requirements, all things, you're doing it for the following four things. And this is in order to be able to perform well in the following four things. Those are the four primary artistic states. What you're actually doing is you're able to learn material in a certain way, and that requires a certain artistic state. Once you're learning the material, you're able to do it and rehearse it in a specific way, which requires, again, an artistic state. What you're also doing, you're able to create the new material when it's needed. And what you're always able to do is to perform that what you rehearsed, what you learned, and what you created. And this is what you, when you go on stage, this is what you're doing. Now, all of those are the artistic states that each artist and each dancer go through. Um, Something that professionals are able to do really well is to move from one state to another with speed and agility. So one needs to know that which artistic states are most relevant, and they truly define the master. So these are the four. These are the four. That really matters. So all of those states are inside and covered in the mastery training that I offer. Okay, so all of these states are covered in the Mastery of Dance training, and they take quite some time to rehearse because this is what really makes you great. This is what really defines a master. You see, Art of Dance builds the solid groundwork for any level dancer. However, master training builds immense power to those states, and this is where we actually spend time. It's something similar what the best actors are doing and how they prepare for the roles. Okay. Okay. So what actually have we done? Um, we talked about mastery. We talked about what are the requirements in order to become one. What are the steps and the process of a master, and how to go about the viewpoint of an artist. We have tested your skills, and we talked about the states of art. And when we think about your future, um, I would like you to test once more. Once you're done with this material, and I would suggest you actually to go back and redo it again, and give some thought to it. And after some practice, come back and test yourself again and see how you're doing then. So check for yourself on a level from 1 to 10. Again, be very honest to yourself. Has your skill level changed? Once you took this material, you put it into action, has it changed? You have a first number, you define it what it is, and now you can compare it. And how much closer are you to your goals? Okay? Okay. And then we come to what are the typical questions and answers typical questions that I have when people ask me about mastery, about the program, and what I think, what I usually also answer to people. So usually a question is, how long do you need to become a master? To me, basically each mastery at anything requires, as they usually say, around 10,000 hours. That's the usual thing. Um, it's training and training and practice, and this is what makes a master. When you refine more and more and more, you become better at what you do. Uh, how long does it take? Depends on you. Depends how well you learn, how well you develop, and how far you put things together, how quickly you're able to bring dots together. When we talk about how much confidence you need to have, well, as long as you perform, Well, to me, actually, you have competence. If you already perform well on all of the four aspects of the four states, and if the people get what you do, you're already doing quite well. Um, the thing is that if you do basics very clearly and you're very clean about it, you're really good to go. Refinement of that um, would we call competence, because someone is really competent to do something very, very clearly. And then we come to competence versus knowledge. What goes first? So my opinion is that competence is a better deal for you because it requires skill. And skill is something that you develop. Masters develop skill. Knowledge you can also acquire later. You can get details and criteria on certain points and certain things. But competence is a skill that you create and build and practice. How is this different to what the school is teaching? Um, well, school prepares you to go on the market, to let you on the artistic market, and you find your way from there. So it is your thing to build your artistry from there. You do not become a master because you have a diploma or you finished some good school. You refine what you learned in school and you make it even better. And in words of Pablo Picasso, he says that even Picasso makes a better Picasso. So I think that's a good way to think about it. How is that different to, sorry, how do you change to artist viewpoint? Um, you do that by seeing mastery as an ongoing process. You're always a work in progress. You're always refining and changing things to become better. You can check your values and beliefs that you have about your artistry and see how you can refine them to become even more better than you did before. How to go about process of mastery? Well, the poll results are actually showing that people are lacking basic skills. This is what actually the school teaches. And so the better explanation actually, and having a really solid basic groundwork is what really matters. It what really moves you forward. So once you come back to the basics and you run through four steps in the process in depth, you will see how much change you can make and how this will develop the details really. Um, so there are some tips and tricks for artistic perspective. Well, yes, you can always keep refining over and over through time. Next performance leaves space for further improvement. I know that by certain performances that I did, I always find that, well, actually, I can make this even look better, or I can perform better on the next time. So this is what was my thinking in head. Um, Trick is to actually to give the best slide that you have on the things that you want your audience to see. You want to hide things that are not so great with you. Be clever about what you give, what you present, and show the perspective that you want your audience to have. And how do you grow artistic states? Well, you grow states by um, immense practice. And this is the process that sometimes needs personal design. In case you want to find out how to do it in detail for you, I would suggest you to contact me for further instruction or book the training that covers the process, as this is probably the most important thing when it comes to mastery. And so these are the following subjects that I'm going to cover in the next free live webinars in 2017. So we're going to cover health and dance, dance coaching, art of dance, and yoga for dancers. I hope you will and you will be interested, and you will also register for the following webinars and participate and tell me what you think. Okay. So once more, art of dance is a manual into the dancer's brain. It is a useful material to how to build your dance, how to grow from any point, from any level, whatever you are, whether you're professional or an amateur. Yoga for dancers is the full program that brings dancers on a next level. There's some free material that I would suggest you to have a look at. There's some of my personal data, and of course, if you're a participant of this webinar, you will get a coupon, which is a 10% off. And that's it. So be a master. Define yourself by the podcast that I offered. Define yourself which kind of a master you would actually like to be, and how you would like to perceive yourself in future, and be on that path and practice, as this is what makes the true master. So I wish you a really nice evening. Enjoy and relax, and I hope to see you sometime soon. So have a nice evening. Ciao.